All right, welcome to episode 5 of the Art of Spooning podcast. I'm Michael Gardner. This is
Sheen Fisher.
Sheen Fisher. And this is part 1 of The Best Chef in San Diego.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, and the reason we came up with that name, this happened independently. For anybody that knows me knows I spend a lot of time eating these guys' food. So that wasn't a question.
Really?
It was statements by each of these guys independently. So one day I'm talking to Davin, and Davin says, "Oh yeah, Patrick came up in conversation. Patrick goes, "Man, that guy, he's the best chef in San Diego, hands down." And then a month later, I'm talking to Patrick, and he had just French master chef. Let's go back to your, I guess 5 generations back, right? How long you had chefs in your family?
1800?
Yeah, but do it quickly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good food takes time.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a 5th generation chef. My father was a chef, my grandfather was a chef, and so and so. And my father used to own a restaurant in a small town in south of France, close to Toulouse. The name of the restaurant was Le Cochon de Lait, a suckling pig. And I born almost inside the kitchen. Since I'm a baby, always being next to him, learn how to cut fries and clean dishes and start from scratch. And then age of 15, he decided to put me in a culinary school in Toulouse.
I didn't think that they had culinary schools in France. I thought they were what they did, but they were called restaurants.
Yeah, I used to do both. School in the morning and restaurant at night. It's about two full shift.
So that was your school. That was education for you.
Yeah.
Being in a restaurant.
Yeah, my first boss was Pierre Darroze, who passed away. He was a 1 Michelin star. I was 15. He was 75 years old.
Oh, wow.
But trust me, when he tell you to find a chive in the fridge, you have to come back with a chive because they kick you in the butt. And,
Do they do that at culinary school now?
No. No anymore. But you know what?
So is there one dish that you remember as your earliest memories? What's that one dish that stands out to you?
From this restaurant?
Cooking, making, being taught.
There's a lot. He told me how to make a lobster consommé when I was 16. That's already very technical recipe. And I have a story about that. The first time I make the consommé, I was young in the kitchen and looking around and see this chinois with a cheese clove. And when I do, I try to help to go the liquid go faster, and I
start pounding. Yeah,
I destroy everything. You don't supposed to touch it. Just put the consommé and leave go slowly. And then when I take the ladle and try to.
Explain why. Explain why what you did was wrong.
Because the liquid was the consommé normally is like water. It's like very clear, and when you start to touch it, it's like everything's cloudy, and now you have to throw away. That's all my first bad experience with Chef Darroze.
And I've had a lot of your lobster consommé recently. You're getting close to perfecting that technique. So
try very hard.
So real briefly, tell us. A lot of people may go, okay, French master chef. So what? It's just another title. What does that really mean in the culinary world? French master.
The culinary world. My role is to teach the young culinary chefs how to become a chef in the future.
So is that the mission of the program?
That's one of mission. It's like I'm a teacher, culinary teacher.
And what does it take to become a French master chef? Is there a curriculum, a test?
Everything. That's like all you passed, what you did in your past, the level of restaurant, Michelin star restaurant, food competition. They come check your restaurant before they accept you. They come chop you 3 times.
So pretty much like the Michelin.
It is same as the Michelin star. And then that's why I have a lot of white hair. No?
That and you're old.
It's every year we meet each other. Like for this year it's gonna be in Macau. In China. Mm-hmm. We're gonna meet and talk about the future competition, the new trend, and new product. It's fun.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, there used to be a long-running advertising campaign for a brand of jams in this country. It said, with a name like Smucker's, it's got to be good. And I kind of figured, I'm not ripping on Davin or on Waite. I'm ripping on the name Wrench and Rodent. But if you've got a restaurant, you're succeeding at a restaurant, named after a rodent and a piece of hardware, it's got to be good.
Hopefully.
So, I describe Wrench and Rodent, and I describe your cooking as a sushi bar, but not a sushi bar.
Totally.
So, which is it?
We're still trying to figure that out. Yeah, we don't even know.
Does it change from day to day?
Yeah.
Which is it today?
Doesn't know.
It after walking around the warehouse in there, it's starting to take shape.
And what's taking shape? What caught your eye?
Just a quick glance, the citrus is insane right now. I haven't even ventured into the little deeper, but there's always something. And the thing that usually catches my eye in here is the thing I've never seen before. It's
And
like, what is it?
what-
How do we make it taste good?
So what is it that caught your eye that you've never seen before?
And haven't seen anything I hadn't seen before yet, but got down here, 5 minutes to spare, still did my little run around. But I'll find it. I'll definitely find it.
All right.
So with you two being on, arguably you're on disparate ends of the culinary world, right? You're kind of a punk rock or whatever the cool stuff is today, but punk rock version of sushi, right? Certainly there's some tradition there because your history goes all the way back to Japango. And who was it?
And earlier.
Yeah,
Earlier
and
than
earlier.
Japango.
But at Japango, there was some very well-known local chefs there with you, right? Such as
Anthony Pascal.
over at Psycho Sushi.
Yeah, there's a lot of the sushi scene in San Diego right now.
James
And-
was James.
Our next guest.
Montejano
Our
was
next
there.
guest was
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, Montejano. Lane Manrique's got a cool little spot up in Lucadia now. Aaron Hahn, John Zamora. There's,
Yeah, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
And who was essentially running the kitchen on a day-to-day basis when you were at Japango? At the beginning.
another huge name. The big. So we used to joke with the executive chefs because it'd be like, okay, you guys come and go, but the sushi guys, we've seen all of you. A huge name out of Japango that Amiko.
Amico Gubbins.
Huge influence on the San Diego food scene.
I would say that her Parallel 33 was something of a game changer in this town.
Oh, without a
Every
doubt.
year.
Huge game changer. And watching her, because she's, just
You're
she's
about
not-
that big.
Watching her, you'd see the phone ring and someone's calling in sick, and she'd have a smile on her face, and there's obviously it's stressful. Seen her work like 3 stations one night with a smile, like it's no big deal. So she was the original. Then it went to Sudi. Then Aaron Cundiff, who went out to D.C. Then James came in, and James's sous chef was a good friend of mine, Brian Brown. We went to high school together.
Oh, yeah?
He was up in L.A. Just came back, so it'd be cool to see where he pops up. And then I think towards the very end, Jerry Warner took over the hot food and the sushi bar. So there's been James Holder was another guy there, Big Mike. And it was cool because for me coming into that scene, here's a lot of the people that I've looked up to, and because I was a younger kid, and I get to work with all of them in one place and practice everything at an accelerated pace because and the volume that they did out of there back in the day was just insane.
You've told me in the past that a big part of the teaching that went on at Japango really was the volume itself and the necessity of just putting out that amount of food the perfection that was required to do it, but the volume, day after day after day.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
I mean-
but how did you get to the point that you could do that? I mean, that presumes the ability to do it.
Yeah.
It's great to be fast, but you kind of have to be clean.
Oh yeah, and it was intense. You know, for one, I didn't get hired as a sushi chef there. I got hired as rice boy, and I'd already had some experience. Didn't know anywhere near as much as I thought I knew at the time. You know, still don't know as much.
How young were you?
Still don't know anywhere near as much as I want to know. But I had my 21st birthday at Japango, so I must have been like maybe 20, maybe 19. And so they had this position for rice boy, which consisted of going in there at 7 a.m, making 8 perfect rice back to back on a slow day, more on a busy day, because the Hyatt had a lot of caterings. So there's practice making rice right there.
Yep.
And if you screwed up a batch of rice, you were ruining
The
the
entire
night of
yeah.
all of these guys you look up to. And everybody screws up here and there, and you hear about it. You know, from everybody. You know, you talk about double jeopardy.
Yeah.
I don't know what the word is for jeopardy 30 times over, but that's what it was.
So basically, rice for you is what lobster consomme
Exactly.
was for Patrick.
Yeah.
That's a part of the foundation of the cuisine.
Yeah.
Right. It is that grasp of the foundation. Let's go to the creativity question, because I think that's what makes you, even though you're on the far side of the spectrum, right? Classic French, although you've brought a lot of coastal influence. I think you're the epitome of coastal influence through the sushi world, at least Southern California coastal influence. Does that creativity, obviously a lot of it has to come from knowing the basics, having the foundation.
Of course, yeah.
You talked about, walking around here and you're planning your day based on what you're seeing in terms of fresh ingredients. I don't think I've eaten the same thing from you in 5-6 years. We walk in and he, runs off like a little kid to the kitchen. Oh, I'll come up with something, and whatever he finds in the reefer makes. Where's the creativity come from? 2 questions for each of you. Where's the creativity come from? And is there ever a time where it just isn't
Dries up.
Patrick?
Creativity about create stuff.
But is there a
I
day?
mean,
Is there a day when you go in and you just look at the ingredients and there's nothing that speaks to you?
It's happen because first I make sure I buy the right ingredient. It's like Davin, he can come here and see some different vegetable produce, and I'm the same way. I go to the market, I see things, or you can have a creativity if you have a solid foundation of cuisine first.
Mm-hmm.
And
So it's that foundation
it's
is
the
what you're
foundation,
saying.
yeah.
Without that foundation. So how broad a foundation do you need?
a lot.
Well, for
my-
what?
Not just lobster
For what?
consomme. Is it sauces,
Yeah, first the French cuisine is very complex. If you look at Escoffier and all the classic recipes, it's a lot you have to know. I don't know all of them, trust me. But I work in some of the best restaurants in the world, and I learn a lot. All of great cuisine, Michelin star restaurant, and all the chefs are amazing foundation, and I used to learn the best from them. And then it's my turn to be creative. I have a product coming every day. So you shop at the restaurant, okay? Shin is here. What am I gonna do today?
Well, one of the things that struck me. Why don't you hold up the book? This is a book. Well, explain what it is. Explain what the book is.
Oh, that's it's a new cookbook by the other French master chef based in USA and Canada. It's like 77 chefs.
Mm-hmm.
Each of us create 2 recipes inside, and it's an amazing book. Yeah.
The thing that I find most amazing about it is not just what what I've worked at cooking from it. But as I look through the recipes, it really helps me understand what French cuisine is today. One thing that when I reviewed 1500, one of the things that I struggled to try to get across, to people who might not have had your food before, is that is just as you have a sushi bar that's not a sushi bar, you have a French restaurant that's almost not a French restaurant. It is not what people would immediately identify as a French restaurant. The sauces may have their foundation in the classic Escoffier sauces, but they're not literal interpretations of that. And that's something that really came through very clearly. And I think that gets to the point of creativity.
Yeah, we can take a classical like a Ville demi-glace and make a switch with something modern and a different flavor in it. You can add stuff, and then it's not just like we call a Californian cuisine.
Well, I wrote it when you went to 1500. I think one of the things that I wrote, and I don't remember verbatim, was that that move has the potential to change the perception of fine dining in San Diego on a global scale because of where you're at, Hotel Del, which is a landmark known worldwide. People come from all over the world to stay there.
The oldest wood frame structure on the planet.
Right. And what you're doing with food, because what you're doing is different than, and look, we eat all over the world, all over the country at the very least, right? And what you're doing is so different with the fresh produce, all of the fresh food that we're able to get here in San Diego, with the classic technique, and yet it's not classic. It's not French.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why.
Well, how does creativity work for you?
I agree with a lot with what Patrick's saying. The technique is like your database, and it's also the medium to take an idea and execute it. Because you need to somehow get this crazy stuff that goes on up there. How do we, how do you make it taste good?
I see you crashing ingredients against each other. It almost, in a couple of times that we've played in the kitchen together, there's this and there's that. Find a way to make them work together, to harmonize them. And, watching you, it's always seemed that that's the technique that you're using to harmonize it, to find some element of something you've done in the past that works with both ingredients.
Totally. And sometimes if merging the ingredients that seemingly don't go together, it's like Hell Week for football or whatever, if you can make those two things work as an exercise, because really it's just practice. It's exercising the mind and everything that you've learned and put together. If you can make those extreme different things go together, then everything else kind of becomes easy easier.
It may be oversimplifying it, or maybe it's overcomplicating it. But it seems to me that one of the commonalities that the two of you have is just unbelievable knife skills.
Oh,
I mean,
there's two commonalities. I was actually thinking of another one, and it's actually, I think, Davin's secret weapon, which everybody sees, but I don't think people process. Anybody that's eaten at the sushi bar there, you'll notice there's always about 10, 12, 15 squeeze bottles of sauces.
Yeah.
Talking about sauces, right?
Yeah.
And when he crashes ingredients together, I mean, he's got sweet, savory, herbal, sour, salty, whatever. He's got all of those things contained in a squeeze bottle.
It's called mise en place.
Right.
I mean, it's no different. It's just instead of squeeze bottles, it's in little trays. But I think you're doing the same thing with different ingredients accomplishing the same purpose. Hey, let's go to a lightning round. Okay, so Sheen and I are going to say names of folks you might know in San Diego, and I want you to just say the first word or two that come to mind. And just fire it off. We'll go one after another. William Bradley. Any taker on Bradley?
William Bradley, yeah, he's a perfectionist.
Bradley Weiss.
He's definitely an artist.
Montejano, and you can't answer this.
Crazy.
Oh
He's a
boy,
good friend.
you might have wanted to save that one. Next up is Daniel Barron.
Dude, brilliant meat master.
Yeah, for sure.
Brian Redzikowski.
God, he's so humble and quiet, yet, I mean, the stuff that comes out of, dude, he's another perfectionist.
Javier Plasencia.
Legend.
Bernard Kias.
Movie star.
Whoa! I thought you were the movie
Sorry,
star.
Bernard. We love you.
Brian Malarkey.
Dude, kind of a game changer. You know? Like, the thing that I like best about Brian, and he's a great guy, you know, he came at an important time for San Diego and probably all cooking that you can still have a little fun. He's got that flamboyant style where, you know, I think when seersucker first came out, it made eating fun again. You know, like there was limited options, and all of a sudden here's this place, and you know the attention that it got definitely didn't hurt.
Got a lot of that. Richard Blaze.
Scientist,
Mad scientist.
definitely.
Jason McLeod.
Legend.
Talk about solid foundation. He has a solid foundation.
Steve Brown.
Alchemist. I get to work with Steve and James on Saturday.
Oh yeah.
This Saturday.
Yeah.
By the way, if you haven't gotten your tickets to that, get them. I'll be there.
Yeah, definitely been. We've run parallel, but haven't had a chance to work together. So we've really been looking forward to it. So that'll be a fun one. It'll be super fun.
Yukito Ota.
I think this one's for you, Davin.
Yeah.
I mean, solid legend. I mean, what he was doing probably before I was born, you know. Funny thing is, you know that Anthony from Psycho?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ota-san is his daughter's godfather.
I didn't know that.
Oh, wow.
That's how the whole Western sushi and Eastern, it's so much more connected, and there's so much more respect for the masters that came before us than it looks like when you just see an irreverent, you know. I mean, the stuff he's been doing in San Diego for the amount of time he's been doing it, master.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
guess.
he and Koji-san and Kyo, were, you know, I think really the foundation of sushi in this town.
Kyo's awesome, too.
Crisio Lota.
No. Any help?
Curcia?
I'm sorry.
I don't know.
I don't want to. I feel like I'm hogging the mic, but for how good he is, he is so amazingly humble.
That's
He's
exactly
another
humble,
good friend.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
dude, the tricks that he has, like, if you know, it's a bad, bad analogy, but if there was an Iron Chef San Diego, he would be Italy, and of course we know who would be France, sitting right here. But yeah, that's the only.
Well, look, I'm not someone who believes that that culinary competitions are necessarily the best way to to judge the talent of a chef. I think it has a lot more to do with putting unbelievable food out every night with absolute consistency. But you can't win something like best pasta in the world without having some chops,
But
without having some tricks, without having some.
And the thing with Accusio is he's doing the same amazing stuff when nobody's watching. He's probably doing the same amazing stuff when
He's
he
a
cooks
real
for
Italian
himself.
chef.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Anthony Sensei.
I'll answer that. One to watch. one to watch. I think that if if I were going to put my finger on someone who is going to climb the local ladder, he's at a very high level right now.
Yeah,
But
he's got a lot under his
I mean,
belt.
I think that I think that he has the potential to catch the attention in a way that's going to vault him to another level. And it's kind of tough to identify other people who will, who really are poised that way. But I would definitely, that's what I would say about him.
Yeah, I'll expound on that a little bit too. Fluffy Unicorn's birthday is December 24th, and we went on a little 3-day run through her top chefs of the year. 2 of them are sitting here. The third one was Anthony Sensei. So I completely agree that he's really putting out some very unique stuff. Obviously with a Filipino influence, but again,
But I think
it's
that's
not
that's a
Filipino
feature.
food.
That's not a flaw.
Precisely.
Yeah.
But again, we're not talking about Filipino food. Look, I've been eating Filipino food for 30 years. The same 10 courses at every
Yep.
buffet, right? And that's not what he's doing.
And you know what?
wanna
I
try it.
absolutely love some of those. I mean, I'm not ripping on the on those courses. But when you see the what he's capable of doing and what he's doing with the cuisine and the level of refinement. I mean,
You can tell he's very passionate too.
yeah.
A lot of passion.
And that's real important. Well, one of our features every episode of the Art of Spooning podcast is the specially produced vegetable of the week or specially produced product of the week. And our specially produced vegetable of the week is sitting on top of the on-air sign. Can anyone identify that?
Look like beets leaves.
But it's not. What is it?
Uh,
It's amaranth leaves.
baby amaranth. Yeah.
Baby amaranth.
Remember.
So, what, Davin, would you do with that?
Scallop carpaccio.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's it has kind of a sweet grassy flavor and almost like a earthy beet finish, like real subtle.
Mm-hmm.
We sometimes pair it with tangerine oil because the color is definitely nice. You get that bright, deep red. When they come with the roots attached, we plant them in the back little garden, and they'll grow, and sometimes they'll flower too. Definitely scallops, like Chef says. Yeah, it's super fun. There's like carnival amaranth too, just crazy colors. That I think this is probably a little tastier on the flavors.
I mean, the beet is what jumps out at me with that.
Yeah.
Also, Gene?
I picked up garlic on it as well. Garlicky beet is what I'd say. And what I would do with it is eat it on whatever Davin decided to put it on.
Thank you.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm playing around with ideas of ways to just show off vegetables as vegetables, things that grow here, things that that just show. Well, there's a restaurant in New York called Dirt Candy. And I really like thinking about it in that way, and I think this is a great example of it. The color isn't deceptive. The color is what it tastes like, and that's So I'm thinking of making some edible soil and using that, and really featuring the color and the beet candy like flavor of it.
Mm-hmm. We are very lucky to have a specialty produce in San Diego. That's for sure.
We are as a city, and we are as podcasters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we'll see you back for part 2 of our interview with 2 of San Diego's best chefs, Davin Waite and Patrick Ponsaty. And for those of you in Facebook land, we'll see you very shortly.
See ya.